Reform Parliament, number 5. Precisely the same principle would guide a Reform Parliament in its reduction of the army and siftings of the navy. In all cases where promotion or rewards could be traced back to the borough interest, the hand of a Reform Parliament would be unsparing. But to all materialist men of all ranks, it would show how liberal a people fairly represented can be the cause in which sailors and soldiers have fought. What it may, they have incurred no blame. Their wounds ought to be regarded, and so does the length of their service, as proof only of their valour. And it would be one of the first principles of a Reform Parliament to reward and hold in honour valiant men. A Reform Parliament would suffer no man to be in a sailor or soldier's coat. If an impostor, they would whip him. If a real soldier or a sailor, they would give him ample means to have house and home and to be well fed and clothed. But a Reform Parliament would see no necessity, I imagine, of a Commander-in-Chief's office with an enormously expensive staff. They would see as little necessity for supporting, at an enormous expense, academies where the sons of borough voters and other prodigies are educated, in some cases under foreign masters, in the art of war, and who are thus, from the earliest youth, separated and kept as a distinct caste from the rest of the nation. A Reform Parliament, adopting the maxim of Blackstone that all such establishments are abhorrent to the principles of the English Constitution, would support no such thing, but would look upon the nation as most secure when under the protection of the arms of freed men, commanded by their natural leaders, the gentlemen of England, selected for their skill and courage by a king uncontrolled and unencumbered by borough interest and family intrigue. If possible, still less necessity would a Reform Parliament see for barracks, fortresses and depots in the heart of England. Such a Parliament would devote these places to demolition and sale for useful purposes. Rows of officers joined together by the arm, like chain shot, lounging up and down the streets of towns and thrusting the tradesmen and farmers from the pavement would be an object of which a Reform Parliament would soon rid the country. Long swords dragging the ground, lofty caps and brass helmets tied under the chin, whisky muffs, tippets, jackets, bark boots, false caves, false shoulders, and the whole list of German badges and frippery would fly away before the axe of a Reform Parliament, as the dust and dead leaves and rotten limbs of trees fly from the air before a thunderstorm in Carolina. And we should once more behold the plain and warm English coat envelope the bodies that contain the brave and honest hearts of our countrymen. In examining a half-pay list, a Reform Parliament would proceed not so much with an eye to economy as with an eye to impartiality. For, as to compassion, no man who has served as a soldier or a sailor ought to be exposed to the pain of exciting such feeling. Whatever else a Reform Parliament might do in this respect, certain am I that they would never suffer hundreds of midshipmen who have faced death in 1,000 shapes to starve in our streets or become paupers. As to this matter, a Reform Parliament would first take care that an impartial distribution was made, and having seen that, they would rely upon the justice of the people to afford the means any necessary augmentation. William Cobbett, 1816. To love.